It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Oh, I'm so excited. I just saw it as I logged in to do the Friday podcast. Boo buckets are coming back to McDonald's. And I'm personally excited about this because I have children who, 1, love McDonald's, 2, love Halloween, and 3, aren't haters like every single person in America right now. What is going on? Boo buckets get announced October 14th. A blue one, green one, orange one, white one. They don't have a lid. Oh no, because the paper bag you were going to give your kids had a lid. The pillowcase your kid was using last year had a lid. What are we? Since when do we trick or treat with lids? Nobody trick or treats with lids. So one, that argument's dumb. And then people didn't like the design. What are we doing here, everyone? They're awesome. They're the McDonald's Boo buckets. Came back last year. Let's be excited about it so we don't lose the dang things. Blue one, green one, orange one, white one. My daughter personally, if we get one of these, is going to be hyped about it. Hyped. So thank you, McDonald's, for coming through for us. Sorry the rest of the internet couldn't quite get down with it. Here you go. Here's some of the things. Yuck. Downgrade. Also, can we get a real lid? Another user. Skipping the lids for these is still style. Skipping the lids for these is still wild. Why do they keep doing the fake lid? Here's another one. Worst McDonald's bucket character design ever. Another person. No lids. Design not cute. Money, time, and space saved. Another one. They don't even look like Halloween buckets. I think you misunderstood why we liked the Boo buckets, LOL. We like the nostalgia. Are you trick-or-treating as a 50-year-old? What? If you're buying trick-or-treating material so you can feel nostalgia, you have completely lost your mind with how to deal with your kids. Maybe give your kids something they like, and then in 30 years, they can be bitter about not having nostalgia. Give them the opportunity to build some nostalgia. I love them. If you showed me one of these things, I would say trick-or-treat basket. So, they don't have the jack-o'-lantern. Maybe people want the jack-o'-lantern face. Maybe that's all they want. They can just do a jack-o'-lantern. I think they're cool. I bet you my daughter likes it. And I'm assuming McDonald's made these for children and not the people who were whining about this on social media. So, you know what? Normally we do the shout-out. We do the 5-star review to kick off the podcast. And if anyone leaves a 5-star review on iTunes, they get it read right at the beginning of the podcast. They get their shout-out. No one did it again. We're on like a 40-episode streak with that. Pretty solid streak. So the shout-out's going to Mickey D's for bringing back the Boo buckets on October 14th. The Widmers will see you there. We're going to get a couple of them. Huck's got to have one. Olivia's got to have one. I've got to have one because I like candy. I'm going to get one for, I've got to have Woods basket. So when we go around, I would hate to have Woods feel left out. And Dad needs some extra candy. Okay. Thank you very much to the Patreon members of the Sean Widmer Podcast. You keep the lights on for this podcast. Mean it. I mean it very much. I hope you enjoyed Trivia 21 this week. If you are a Patreon member, you can check out Trivia 21 in its entirety over at patreon.com/Sean Widmer Podcast. Is it this Sean Widmer Podcast? I think so. And then if you aren't a Patreon member, you can at least go play the first round so you can see what you're missing. You can at least go play the first round. 3 rounds of trivia. It was Presidents. The music round was To the Table, and then a round of James Earl Jones. Okay, so thank you to the Patreon members. You mean the world to me. I don't even know how to bring this one up. We're going to talk food here in a second, which reminds me I need to bring up the Patreon page because, and it's just patreon.com/Sean Widmer Podcast. That's what it is. I'm looking at it now. But there's some stuff on Patreon I've got to read on this episode when it comes to food. All right, we're going to talk food. We're going to talk about an adventure that I went on with Mike. And Mike Keller's What Are You Into is some a specific kids music that everyone needs to check out. But hang on. I need to check something real quick. All right. All right, there we go. I just am making sure everyone's good. I got to have baby monitors on. I'm recording this one at night. We're back to just a good nighttime routine. Oh, let's do a podcast. Okay. How to transition from that giggle to something that was sad that happened. I graduated. I think I was trying to count it. I was trying to remember all the people that were in my graduating class. I think it was 13 or 14. I think that's the number that I settled on. 13 or 14 people. The year 2000, I'm 42, so everyone's around that age from my class, and it was sad. One of my classmates, someone I was very close to my junior and senior year, passed away this last week from cancer. Very sad news. Jeff Baker, someone that I really, really enjoyed hanging with. I'm very happy to have him as a friend through those high school years. It's really weird because we were close our senior year, especially junior year, not as much, but senior year, we really got close. And then we moved back from Venezuela. I never heard from him again. Never heard from him again. I looked because I almost messaged him at the beginning of this year. I was just trying to get a hold of him to say what's up. I was thinking about him. And I messaged him in like 2010 and just said, how's it going? And he said, it's going great. Hope things are good with you. And that was it. I sent a message, he sent a message, and that was it. That was our one bit of communication since leaving high school in 2000. But even though I haven't talked to him in 24 years, it was sad. It made me very sad. And, I'd never had that. I know a lot of people have, and they have had people from their class who have passed away. And I have, there's in my life, the people who have passed away in my life have been like older, and that's kind of how it's been. My buddy Steven, though, unfortunately, he passed away very young from brain cancer, and now Jeff Baker also passing away from cancer, and it's just sad. So thoughts and prayers to everyone who was in his family. His brother was rad. We grew up going to school with his younger brother. He leaves behind a wife and some kids, and so it's just, man, sad story. I wanted to give the shout out. Jeff Baker, it was just, he made me laugh. He always reminded me of Chris Farley in some of the style that he would tell jokes. And so, it's just seeing old pictures of him pop up as people were posting about this week on Facebook. It was just walk down memory lane. I guarantee he will be missed. So it was a weird, sad bit of news that came into my life this week. Okay. There's no smooth transition into the next segment, and so we just are going to do it. I am a YouTube fiend. I love YouTube. I love it, and I love the YouTube homepage. Oh, I love the YouTube homepage so much. I've watched so much YouTube. My YouTube homepage is normally really nice. It ranges from a lot of sports videos, a lot of sports interview shows, to podcasts, like your major players in the podcast world, your Conan Needs a Friend, your Dax Shepard, what's his called again? Armchair Expert, the one with Bateman and what is it? Will Arnett and the other guy. The main podcast, they come through. There are a ton of Dungeons and Dragons stuff, tips for like how to run a game and make minis, and then actual play stuff. And I'm trying to think what else I was just looking at my homepage before I came on here to kind of like run through what's in there, and a ton of skateboarding videos, and that's like my homepage. When I go there, I get a fresh look at those things, and I'm not getting other stuff, right? I'm not getting the rest of YouTube that you probably see when you get on there. That doesn't even show up in my life on YouTube. It's those categories because I've watched so much, and YouTube knows that's what I want, and I love it. I adore it. One of the things that always pops up, though, because I watch Good Mythical Morning from time to time, Rhett and Link, is all of their stuff that they make, because they have a lot of different channels where they make a lot of cool stuff. And Mythical Kitchen is one of their big YouTube channels that has popped off from their Good Mythical Morning. And I enjoy Mythical Kitchen. I don't watch it all the time, but I do enjoy it. And I've watched enough of them that it comes up in the algorithm, shows up on my homepage. And they do a show called Last Meals, where they have a celebrity on. They interview the celebrity while that person eats what they have chosen as their last meal. It's kind of the Rhett and Link version of Hot Ones. In fact, they had Sean Evans on a couple weeks ago to do this. Well, today it was Tony Hawk. So I immediately had to watch it. I love Tony Hawk. I love skateboarding. And so Tony Hawk popped up. I clicked it and watched it. And as much as I love the interview, I'm always so intrigued with what the person picks as their food, and then I run down in my head, what would my last meal be? So I thought, let's do it on the podcast. Let's do the last meal thing. I love it. I think it's a fun conversation. I think it's a fun conversation starter at work. So I posed this question over on Patreon today. We've got 4 comments, really just blowing the top off with activity. It said, so my YouTube algorithm always shows the latest episode of Last Meals by Mythical Kitchen. This week they had on Tony Hawk. Had to check it out. The skateboarding nerd in me loved I can't even spell it right. The skateboarding nerd in me loved the interview, but also, as always, it got my mind going on what my last meals would be. Here is your homework for the Friday podcast. What are you telling the host of Last Meals that you'd want on that table if you got invited to be on the show? And they kind of get a lot of stuff, but you can ask for a lot of things. So I've got my list. I made it. I have not read the Patreon answers yet, because I didn't want to be swayed. So I've got some appetizers on mine. I've got a couple like main dishes, and then I actually chose a dessert, even though I'm not a dessert guy. And I've got 2 beverages that I'm going to have as well. So let's see what we've got here, though, on Patreon. We're going to start with Spokane Rose, who said this for his last meal. For the appetizer, calamari, hot potato, potato, hot potato, medium rare Wagyu steak, seafood Alfredo, and an Olive Garden salad. And for dessert, creme brulee, and the best bottle of Crown Royal they can find. Okay, Spokane Rose. Let's talk about this. Calamari will be revisited later on in this episode. Medium rare Wagyu steak. Okay, so Wagyu steak is a great answer. It's something that I've never tried. I probably never will try a really nice Wagyu steak. So putting that on there, Spokane Rose is genius. Seafood Alfredo sounds amazing right now at 10:08 at night. Olive Garden salad, love that. I'm going with the ranch dressing. I don't know what Spokane Rose is going with. I feel like that's a great last meal, Spokane Rose. Ian said this. All right, let's see what Ian's a good food guy. Let's see what he says. Some brisket from Goldie's. I love when they say a restaurant. I love it on last meals when they say the restaurant. Tony Hawk had a bunch of restaurants, and they had got the food from those restaurants. I love it. All right, so some brisket from Goldie's. Matt Pittman's mac and cheese with pulled pork mixed in. A Razzini's pizza. Filet mignon French style from Fortune Cookie in Seal Beach. Some fries from this place called Troy's on San Pedro. A couple birria tacos from El Sazon. Johnny Reb's Hush Puppies. Salada fried mozzarella and Italian ice, the way this place called Salvatore's used to make it, with a swamp water to wash it down. You can bet your bottom dollar there will be a backyard barbecue blues playing like you'd hear at Lucille's. I love that Ian just threw out all the restaurants. I am not familiar with a doggone one of them, but maybe you are, and you heard something in there. You're going, preach, Ian. I'm going to say this. I like brisket. Okay, it would not be on my list. The birria tacos are on there. I like mac and cheese and pulled pork. I do like that. I like mac and cheese. I don't know that it would be on my last meal. The filet mignon sounds awesome. I still don't know what French style means, but I guarantee I'm going to like it for sure. Hush Puppies. I need to Google Hush Puppies. I know I've had Hush Puppies before, but every time they come up, I don't know what they are, and I just think they're a band. Okay, Hush Puppies, a small, savory, deep-fried round ball made from cornmeal-based batter. Yeah, that sounds rad, Ian. That's a great last meal, brother. That's a lot of food. That's kind of This is kind of the point of this. Yvonne said this. Okay, Yvonne, you start off with 2 good words. 3 good words. Surf and turf. Surf and turf. Give me some meat from the land and the sea. Spaghetti. Dessert would be ice cream and German chocolate cake. To drink, milk. Okay, this is wild. Milk and hot tea. That's a crazy combo, but I love if it's your last meal, you're going to drink the things you like. Mine has some crazy in it as well. So milk, hot tea, and then hot chocolate with peppermint schnapps. Yvonne, ooh, I love that. I love a little surf and turf. If you get the spaghetti noodles kind of mixed in with some of that, it's really good. Good last meal. Jeff Whitney, he said this, some type of wild game meat or some fish. Heck, I could supply the meat or the fish even. Okay, so I like that for Jeff. I like the last meal to be something that you go get. So it's a whole process, right? This is going to be your last meal, Jeff. What are you going to have? And he's like, okay, I'm going to have elk, but I'm going to go shoot it on my way out. I love that. I'm always intrigued with wild game meat because I feel like the hunters, at least up in the Pacific Northwest, they get some crazy meat, and all the hunters up there are very partial about a specific meat that they get, and I've always loved trying it. Now, I've always tried it in jerky form. I think for the most part, I've tried it in jerky form, and there is a difference, but I've never done like steaks. So if you did an elk steak next to a cow steak, is there a crazy difference? I've never done that with the wild game. So there you go. There's from the Patreon. I love this game. Here is mine. For an appetizer, I'm going calamari and jalapeno poppers. I did not think of a place that had great ones, but I love calamari. Shout out to Spokane Rose, and I love jalapeno poppers. Oh my gosh, I love jalapeno poppers. Now let's get into some items. The third one is extremely, extremely detailed. But the first one, it's called a doble mixta. Doble mixta from Wimpy's Hot in Rubio, Venezuela, where I grew up. This place is no longer there, but I would love to find the person who owned that little tiny restaurant that was 3 meters. What did I suddenly just become? I went straight back to Venezuela. 4 meters wide and 20 meters deep, with a sitting area in the restaurant, or the restaurant sitting area in the kitchen. And it was just this little hole in the wall. And they made these burgers that were unbelievable. They were monstrous. They were extremely greasy. They had an egg on it, 2 patties, a bunch of like veggies. And then there's a sauce in Venezuela that I do not remember what it is. And I know you might be saying right now, screaming at your headphones, it's fry sauce, or it's Thousand Island, or, it's mayonnaise mixed with chili pepper poop. I don't, like whatever that thing is, you're yelling, it's not that. And it's a sauce that was so specific to Venezuela that when I go to restaurants, and for a long time I did this, hadn't thought about this until I was thinking about it today. Let me just, for the YouTube people, let me scratch the inside of my nostril. I got to shave. I got mustache hairs growing everywhere. I can't even kiss my children. They all hate me right now. When I go in for the kiss, my mustache scratches them. All right. I looked for this sauce on menus for about 8 years, coming back from Venezuela, because I loved it so much. So if I went to a place and saw on a burger a sauce I was not familiar with, or it said it had a specific sauce, I would order that burger trying to find the sauce. I don't think it exists in the States, but it was on this doble mixta. It was so good. So I'm getting that to throw it back to childhood. I'm getting one supreme crunchy taco from Taco Bell. I adore that menu item. One supreme crunchy taco. Boom. With Diablo sauce. Oh, I love that menu item. And then here's like the big one that's specific. Moon's Mongolian in Spokane, Washington is my favorite restaurant, okay? I just love it so much. If I go back to Spokane to visit and it's for more than 1 day or 2 days, I'm going there. That's just going to be a lock. I'll be there for lunch. Can't wait. But here's how you make a perfect dish at Moon's Mongolian. Chicken. You grab your bowl. If they let you grab 2, they used to let me grab 2 because I was there a lot. Chicken, the imitation crab. Then we get to the veggies. Bamboo shoots, white onion, mushrooms, green onions, carrots, pineapple. All right, then you go jalapeno and cilantro. Then you get the skinnier noodles, the skinny yellow noodles, the skinniest yellow noodles they have there. And you get a pile of those. Then you hit the sauces, and you go with a couple scoops of soy, a scoop of garlic, a scoop of ginger, a scoop of sesame oil, a scoop of chili oil, and then you ask the guy who's cooking it for teriyaki. That is the Moon's Mongolian Order of Champions. Go ahead, put that on a note card, take it there today, have diarrhea later, but you're going to love every single second of the entire process, okay? Your coworkers are not, but you are going to love it. My favorite restaurant. Okay, so that's my food items. For beverages, These do not go well together like Yvonne, but I want an ice cold can of Mountain Dew Voltage, and then I want a whiskey sour, and I want a whiskey Coke. It's my last meal. And then I don't really do dessert, but I love cheesecake. So give me a cheesecake with the maraschino cherry sauce on it. Oh my gosh, I do love that. Not a huge dessert guy, but I love that. And then some twin snakes. If I'm going to go dessert, I need candy. So I want the last thing in my mouth to be a snake. That's my last meal. I don't know, do with that what you want. There's a lot of food talk right there. I got to tell you this quick story before we get into Kelly's What Are You Into? I had a wild experience with Mike, my buddy Mike, the other day. We went to, on my lunch break, look at this. On my lunch break, I sacrificed my lunch break to help Mike out. What a guy, am I right? What a guy. Helped a guy who has helped me move 40,000 times. I helped him move one thing. What payback I provided him. He was getting a box spring. So he's getting a box spring, found one on Facebook Marketplace or something. I don't know. Tinder, I don't know where he found it. But he found a box spring, and we had to go pick it up. And I've got the truck, so I'm like, yeah, let me help you on my lunch break. Let's meet at this place at noon. We'll pick it up, take it back to your place. I can get back to work. We can do all that within an hour, and I'll be good to go. So I head out. We go to this town outside of Lexington called Nicholasville. Now, Mike gives me the address. We're going to meet out there. And I'd been in Nicholasville a couple times, not this part. Kind of the ghetto part of Nicholasville, okay? And so we're kind of driving around in there, and I'm like, I don't really know. But it's the middle of the day. I'm not really worried about it. Mike's with me, so he's the muscle. I'm not really worried about it. But we get in there, and we're looking for where we're going to pick up this box spring. So Mike looks, it's going to be in like Unit 30 in like these duplex kind of buildings. And so Unit 30. So we're walking around looking for Unit 30, and we find Unit 30 is what we were told. And there's these two gals sitting out in front of it, and they're probably mid to late 60s, early 70s, and they're just hanging out. And they're not speaking English. It sounded like Russian, might have been Russian. And they're sitting there talking, so we can't hear what they're saying. And so we go up and we kind of interrupt their conversation. And we're like, hey, this is Unit 30. We're here to buy the box spring. And the ladies just stare at us. And we're like, okay, we're here to buy the box spring. We've been in touch with the person who lives in number 30. Do you live in number 30? Yes. We're here to buy the box spring. Crickets. No. Just no's. Nope. Okay. Does that mean no, we can't buy it, or no, you're not selling it? What does no mean? Nope. So we start walking off very confused. So we get a hold of the gal that was selling it, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. So we're like, okay, we're at the wrong unit. She told us the wrong number. We'll just wait here at the entrance to these places, and she'll see two guys standing there by a truck with the truck bed open and know that that's going to be who's buying the box spring. So car drives in. Here's a lady. We're like, oh, this is our gal. Looks at us and just keeps on driving. Okay, we kind of wave at her. She keeps on driving. Not even a wave. And she gets out. She's down at the far end from where we are, and she's now just starts walking around the parking lot, looking around. We look at her, I wave, and she just keeps on looking around. And I don't know what she's looking for. So finally, we kind of start walking towards her, and she kind of all of a sudden figures it out, Sherlock Holmes this thing, and realizes, oh yeah, you guys are buying the box springs. So we're like, okay, yes, that's us. So then she's like, okay, come here. Let's go get it out of my house. So we're like, okay. So we go to get the box spring. It's in freaking Unit 30. The one we were just at where the two ladies were standing there. We walk back up to the door. The two old gals are sitting there, and the younger lady just walks in, and we're like, we're here for the box spring. And they just kind of look at us. So I'm thinking, well, maybe they didn't know the box spring was here, except for that it was in the middle of the house. Just a box spring. As we walk in, and it's just right there. There's just a big old box spring. Like you've got a box spring obviously not being used, obviously set up to be sold. When people come up and ask you, are you selling a box spring? And you're like, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It's the one that's just leaned up against the wall right inside the front doors. That one. That's the one. It was wild. And so we go in, and we went in, and Mike was like, hey, let's go heads up 7-Up. There was stuff everywhere. There was like screwdrivers all over the ground. It was a wild, kind of like in a movie where you go in and the door closes behind you, and the next thing you know, you've got bags over your head and you're being driven off somewhere. Like, it just had weird vibes. Weird animals kind of walking around in there, but they were probably all great. This is what movies have done to me. These were probably 3 very nice ladies, just whatever, living life. But because I've seen enough movies where people go to sort of the other side of the tracks part of town, I'm now brainwashed into thinking that I'm walking into a situation where some guys are going to jump out of a closet and put a bag on my head. That's where I'm at. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. This gal, so nice, right? We end up doing the transaction. She's so nice. She's so grateful. And so as we left, I'm thinking in my head, like, why do you have to think like that? Why do you gotta be in there imagining that this nice gal is gonna have people jump out of a closet and kidnap you and take you off? So it ended up being a good transaction, but boy, it was a wild interaction there. The box spring in the middle. Yeah, that's the one we're selling. Right in the middle of everything. Kids running around in there, some animals running around in there, all sorts of stuff, all hanging off of everything, stuff just everywhere. But we got it. Box spring. What that story.
Kelly's, what are you into?
Okay. We got to talk kids' music. We are on a new one. We do not watch the show here at the house, but we stumbled upon that soundtrack. And we are a Gabby's Dollhouse playlist on Spotify family. I don't know what's going on with the people who work at Gabby's Dollhouse, a show that I believe is on Netflix, but they are writing some music. It kind of reminds me of the guy Patrice, who wrote the Friday song, Friday, where you didn't really like it, but it was stuck in your head forever. And as much as you didn't like it, you kind of liked it, right? Everyone made fun of the song, but you kind of liked the song. You listened to it a couple times as a joke, and then you were like, well, my friends all left. I'm driving by myself. Well, I'm going to listen to it one more time, right? It has those kind of vibes. Gabby's Dollhouse. I hope it makes it on my most played, my end of the year Spotify recap. What is it called again? My Spotify, what else called? Connect, Spotify. What the heck are those called? I don't have time to look it up. Whatever they are. End of the year. Spotify Wrapped. I hope Gabby's Dollhouse gets on there. All right, let's do some comments, shall we? I wore a sweatshirt because it was colder tonight in the basement, and now I'm under the lights. I am dripping sweat. This is my workout today, this podcast. I'm doing it for you guys. Sweating to the oldies for you guys. Ian said this. This is in regards to my daughter. I'm waiting for my daughter to love Mad Libs. He said, love it when the kids start to transition from IT commander's data or lieutenant commander data to I'm a real boy. You know what? That one's lost on me. I didn't watch enough Star Trek. Ian. That one probably hit for somebody. So I'm jealous of them. Need to get you adult Mad Libs. Oh my gosh. Wiener. Noun. Wiener. Butt cheeks. They're fun for kids and adults. Wiener, butt cheeks. Mr. Wiener. Give me a name. Mr. Butt Cheeks. Mr. Butt Cheeks went to the Wiener store to buy butt cheeks. Gotta love some Mad Libs. Need to get you adult Mad Libs or the themed ones like Taylor Swift or Star Wars. Einstein puzzles for the win. Erica and Brianna are hooked on them too. Jamie, Brandon's wife, is the cross-country coach at his daughter's school. She was trying to recruit Brianna before school even started. It was funny. Pretty sure she runs with the kids. My cross-country coach rode a bike with us rather than ran. That's awesome. I wasn't as fast as my teammates, but I could keep my pace all day, every day, which, given how points work for the team, is why they kept me on the team. Excuse me, not having a sub 3 or 5:30 mile, that would be insane. Not having a sub 5:30 mile would consistently be 10th across the line, so that's 10 points. First 5 to cross gets scored, and the lowest total wins. I used to love watching my brother-in-law Reed do cross country. I never knew how they scored it, and it didn't matter to me because Reed always won. But that is interesting that that's how they scored. Ian said, sent you a TikTok of James Earl Jones when he was on Big Bang Theory. I need to do a better job about keeping personal and business relationships separate, particularly interpersonal ones like bros. We used to game with you, but then J-Rose is my kid's coach. No, you don't need to keep it. You don't need to keep that separate. Game with us. I don't game anymore. It sucks. I have one coworker whose wife is my wife's boss friend, so I know things about him that he doesn't share. Got anything like that going on? Yeah, that part. That part's crazy. But Jamie's not going to tell you anything about Brandon. We don't all know. And if she doesn't, I will. Ron said this. Thank you for the comment, Ian. Sweet of you. Ron said this. I'm listening to the podcast. Thank you, Ron. Just have been busy and haven't been able to get a comment in. No, that's just me being a whiny baby, Ron. You don't need to comment. No one needs to comment. That's just me being insecure. Okay. I'm still listening to the podcast, have been busy and haven't been able to comment. What are your thoughts on the PS5 Pro, and are you getting one? $700 is steep, and I think I'm good with my PS5, and I'll just wait for the next console before I upgrade. Ron, I'm super interested in the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm super interested in it, but I'm not spending $700 on it. I'm not. And that's obviously I'm not, because my priorities have changed in life. I've got 3 kids. We are kind of pouring into them. $700 for a gaming console that I'm not going to use as much anymore, as much as I hate to admit it. It doesn't make sense. But I'm saying that even as somebody who, if I looked back 5 years when I was just dating Anna, we didn't have kids, we get married, and we didn't have kids, I still wouldn't have bought one. Even though I had like some extra income coming in, I don't know if you know this, when you start to have kids, you lose all your money. Isn't that weird? So even without kids, I don't think I'm spending $700 on a PS5 Pro. That's too much. That number is too high. I can justify, for some reason, $500 I can justify in my head, which is stupid. $300 is a good number for me for a new system. $400, I start to be like, but I'll justify it. $500 is where I have to do some work. I have to really convince myself. I'm going to wait until a couple of people get it. I'm going to get some FOMO, plus watch some videos. I'm going to find one review that says the box is awesome, and then I'm buying it. But past 500, you've lost me. You've lost me. So no, man, I'm not. And I wish I was more excited about it. And I'm even at the point with it that when I see people get it, I'm not going to be jealous. Oh, that sucks to say. Let's go over to Spotify. Yvonne said this. I'm not a person that watches debates, not political kind of person. My husband watched part of it, but got frustrated. I also think, and then Dave and Ken prediction. I also think podcasts for Dave, Ken, and Molly. Yeah, Yvonne, preach, girl. You get it, girl. Get it. I'm not doing the debate stuff. Someone in the family probably needs to do the debate stuff to know like politics, but Yvonne, it's not you and me. It's not us. It's not for us. Kelly said this on Spotify. KHQ is a subsidiary of the Review, Spokesman Review. I think that's somewhat true, Kelly, because I think it is the Cowles company, if I'm recalling correctly. Cowles, is that right? There's some guy, Cowell, who owns a lot of stuff, and I think they own the Spokesman Review and KHQ. So I think they would be like sister entities in this relationship, with the parental figure, the matriarch being the Cowles, and then right underneath there is KHQ and Spokesman Review. I think that's right, but that's true. So there is a tie-in there which can be used. Kelly, I'm in. I'm very interested in this. I didn't get enough response or reaction to this. Also, Dave Sposito didn't get a hold of me. So thanks a lot, Dave. I really need to get him on here. Okay, Roberta said this. It will be interesting to see what happens with Dave and Molly. I honestly never listened to them. As I listened to the Jay and Kevin show after switching from another station, I knew they were there, Breakfast Boys, etc., but not interested as I found my home. Roberta, thank you. I'm glad you found your home because I'm glad we're friends. And then a smiley face, crying, laughing emoji to forgetting to hit record on the Dalton video. Are you getting old? I was so bummed about that when I got done recording, because I recorded the podcast. I was getting ready to edit the intro and the music on the way out of the podcast into the podcast. So I had the whole audio clip, and then I was like, I should reach out to Dalton. I saw he was online, and so I just kind of did it spur of the moment. And then I realized, shoot, I forgot to fire up the video part of it. I just did the audio part. Dang it. Bummed me out. Because I probably could have got Dalton on camera. His beautiful face. His sweet, kissable, beautiful, bearded face. All right. Hey, thank you all for listening. I don't mind if you still send in your last meals. I love reading them. I'm going to go through now because I tried to avoid the Patreon ones before now. and like Ian's, I'm gonna go Google search all those restaurants. I love it. I'm wildly addicted to last meals. Thank you for listening. I love y'all. Mean it.